Hi, everyone. It's wonderful to be here in real life with all of you. I've met many of you only on Zoom, and it's just incredible to be here. So thank you for having me, and thank you for the invitation. Okay. So my name is Karla Mora, and I'm the founding managing partner of Alante Capital. Alante is a VC fund investing to enable a circular, regenerative, and sustainable future for the apparel industry. My co-founder, Leslie, and I built Alante to create a space that would enable investors, entrepreneurs, and business leaders to come together and reimagine the future of industry to do our small part in the fight against climate change. Our aim is to enable a circular and sustainable future by investing in scaling innovation like the ones in the room today that can improve how products are designed, made, sold, used, and recovered. In late 2015, I started tinkering with the idea to launch Alante Capital. I was not a seasoned VC or an operator in the fashion industry. I came to finance 5 years earlier from a career in international development and as a development economist. I was looking at supply chain reform. I'd learned how to understand systems, identify trends. I was really looking at kind of how do all the pieces fit together to be able to make and produce the things that we consume every day. And I had a very deep-seated passion that if we could figure out a way to reform the way we produce things, we could actually do it in a way that can protect people and the planet. So that's where I'd come from. I was not a venture capitalist. So my early career had taught me that businesses and most consumers were not as altruistic as I was. I was from California. I was raised by hippie parents that taught me how to recycle and love nature and never stop learning. And I knew that it was going to take more than altruism and optimism, which I had an abundance of, to be able to help to ignite a systemic change or be a part of driving that process. So I went back to my economics degree and tried to think about how can we actually incentivize businesses to make different decisions, and how do we incentivize consumers to behave differently? And I found a tool in venture capital. The VC fund model would force us to find innovation that could have radical impact at the intersection of sustainability and profitability. We had to find and support companies that could reach massive scale, get broad adoption, and have the potential to replace the incumbent technology that they set out to disrupt. And that was the key. That's the piece that brought me into venture. This idea that we had to be able to create a good enough product that could be widely adopted to actually replace whatever behavior or technology was there before. And to do that, we would have to find something that could compete on quality, on ease, eventually price, and be able to take over massive market adoption. We also, within the venture capital framework, would have to do that in a way that could create massive returns for the investors in our fund within a reasonable time frame, which was a 10-year cycle. That is not an easy task at all, and definitely means venture capital is not the right type of capital for everybody. But this was a really exciting tool to create a hard challenge for Leslie and myself to use to find the future of this industry, the technologies that would help drive a new future for this industry. We set out to understand the nuance of the problems we were hoping to find solutions for so that we could take calculated risks, invest early, and help get this movement off the ground. This wasn't easy early on, but now the hard part is not finding great companies to invest in, but choosing which ones, because there are far more amazing companies that fit this framework than we could ever invest in alone. 6 years in, I'm so happy to see more funds taking similar approaches. There is so much capital coming into this space. From traditional VC funds, from corporate venture, from impact investors, there's money flooding in to finance the future of sustainable apparel. It's a completely different world than it was 5 years ago. It may not feel fast enough, but things are accelerating and it's definitely exciting. It takes an ecosystem of actors working together to bring about systemic change. And the role of early stage investors is to help unlock R&D by financing commercialization and growth. We get to support the incredible entrepreneurs bringing this innovation to life. This complicated, messy, and beautiful industry has enormous opportunity and is full of inspiring and brilliant people. And that's my favorite part of working in it. It's an honor to be here today among these visionary founders that are all right here. To be an entrepreneur working to improve environmental or social outcomes of an industry is incredibly hard work. The sacrifices entrepreneurs make in the early days are not small. Many of you have likely foregone salaries, learned to live lean and be scrappy, felt hope and heard no from more investors than you can count, and struggled to have anything else to talk about with your friends and family. It's an all-consuming process, one we are very familiar with. But the outcome has tremendous value for this industry and for our society. You see problems as opportunities. You come up with novel solutions and are bold enough to dive all in to see it through. Thank you for being brave enough to imagine a better future and for charting the path to get us there. Because without innovations like the ones that are here today, we can't transform this industry. And while innovation can't alone be the solution, they bring critical tools to enable brands and consumers to shift our behavior. I reflect on our own startup journey. It's hard to be an early mover, to constantly explain why there's a need, to justify the strategy and continue to hear no, not yet, or even worse, nothing at all. What kept us moving forward in those early years was the signals from the apparel industry, from all of you. Brands were beginning to sign these big sustainability initiatives, and they were certainly going to need help to fulfill them. More and more startups were launching with the shared vision of transforming this massive and antiquated industry. Climate change was disrupting supply chains and negatively impacting the key inputs needed to produce. Emerging sustainable apparel brands were helping consumers see that there was another way to make clothes. Excuse me, hold on. And a small amount of enormous mainstream apparel companies were launching initiatives to source sustainable innovations, invest in new technologies, and figure out ways to improve practices. These early signs 5 years ago, they came together like a bright flashing light to me. Change was coming, and capital would be needed. That's why we started Alante Capital. So, like the entrepreneurs, brands, retailers, and designers, you also have the opportunity to be bold and brave. Executives, we need your authentic buy-in. We need your sourcing, product, digital teams to be empowered and resourced to do the hard work to bring these exciting innovations to life. Be brave enough to join a space that is new, different, and a little bit scary. Partnering with startups is a critical part of realizing innovation and unlocking investment capital, and it's an exciting story to tell. People love a good startup story. Tell it, illuminate these change makers, be authentic and transparent, and customers will get excited and not fear greenwashing. After working closely with brands over these last 6 years, we realized that a lot of hesitation came from simply not knowing where to start. We had learned what startups need and understood the limitations and the opportunities within brands and retailers, and we were in a unique position to help. This year, we launched our Alante Innovation Community to consult and support brands, suppliers, and retailers to build strategy and begin launching and commercializing new technologies that would enable more sustainable and circular practices. This is our tool and strategy to help brands and way more startups than are in our portfolio themselves actually get to market. We're all about action. We want to see the pieces come together, the puzzle come together, and actually move things forward. So, and we're not the only ones providing guidance on how to engage. There's a whole ecosystem out there to help. So I know many of you here today are already well on your way on this journey, and I thank you. And to those who are not, it's time to be bold and brave. Join us.